the criminals are already going to villages, ensuring that those villagers that have registered their SIM and their NIN number, they pay them money to give them SIM card to register under their name, and then collect those SIM card back and go and use them. This is, as I speak to you, what is going on. So the issue of whether they are collecting SIM card or phones of their victims to make the call so that they can guard themselves against being arrested is even a minor one, because like I said, they are already moving to villages, paying money to those that have national identification number for them to register their numbers. They pay them money and give them SIM card to register those numbers under their name, and they collect the SIMs and go. Already the SIMs are registered, but registered in the name of a victim who was paid a small amount of money by them, and then he didn't know what really.
Then how do we take care of that? How do we stop that?
The only way to stop that is for the National Identification Number Management Board, that is the National Identity Management Board, the Ministry of Digital Economy, to come together, as well as the security agencies, to put together a mechanism that no Nigerian should own more than between 2 to 4 SIM cards under whatever circumstances.
Okay, for those, lastly, sharply, for those who already have more than 5 or 10 registered SIMs, they are registered, duly registered. 10. What will you suggest?
I will suggest that the number should be reduced to at least 4. Why do a single individual need up to 10 registered SIM card? What is he using it for? It sounds suspicious. It looks suspicious. I think the government should be very, very proactive. They should go there and whoever have more than at least 4 registered line.
We'll come back to it. We have more to discuss with you. Still on the issue, Newsday had a phone interview with an analyst. And now let's listen to this before we move further. Some Nigerians of the issue are stake. Do you have anything to add on this?
Yes, what I will have to add is the suggestions has been laid by Nigerians. I think it's a good one, and I think the government need to listen to it. But most importantly, I still emphasize on the issue of a Nigerian having more than 4 SIM cards. You begin to wonder, even if it's for business, the normal, let's take a conventional phones or SIM card to be 2, and if you are in business, have some business sections, then you can have maybe 2 more other lines for business purposes in a general office arrangement. Otherwise, what do you need more than 4 SIM cards for? I think the government need to critically look into this issue and ensure that no Nigerian own more than 4 SIM cards for easy tracking, for easy monitoring, and also for easy identification for whatever reason it is. All after that, the security agencies should also be worried of the fact that, like I said, villagers are being used to re-register illegally numbers with their NIN number. I think also there's need for a lot of public enlightenment and information. Medium like yours, the KSMC and others should be sponsored. Government should have a sponsored program in radio and television stations across the federation to enlighten and educate Nigerians, most especially those in remote areas, to understand the implication of allowing anybody to come and use their national identification number for registration of a SIM that is not their own, and they do not know what it will be used for. Otherwise, they will fall victim of circumstances. They will be in their houses and they will find themselves being arrested for an offense they did not commit. This, I think, is very, very important that the government should undertake.
All right, Doctor, we have a situation at hand presently, which will be best described as double jeopardy. As Nigerians, from the time the announcement came out that you must have your national identity number linked to your SIM, people were rushing to the centers to get themselves registered and get their national identity card, in spite of all the sufferings at the centers. Now staff of the commission have embarked on strike. They have their issues with the commission, ranging from they said coronavirus is there, they have not been given protective facilities or measures, nothing has been taken, and they are not being paid their overtime, and many other issues. Now, what do Nigerians do at this point in time?
That is one good thing about Nigeria. That is one very good thing about Nigeria. Every Nigerian wants to take advantage of every situation that comes across him. You see, they must have been having this issue of maybe allowances or lack of payment of salary.
No, but if you look at the centers, the congestion there.
No, I agree with you. I'm coming there. I'm only trying to highlight the advantages Nigerians like taking on a situation. So they are also taking advantage of the present situation to press home their demands, so that their demands will be reached. That is in terms of their welfare generally. But also coming back to the issue of the crowd, the way the place is being crowded, I think it is also reasonable if they go on, a warning strike for the fact that they needed the necessary protective measures, because they are human beings, they are Nigerians, and it is the same government that is saying that we should adopt every possible protective measure against the COVID-19. So if that is the issue, that we are to stay away from COVID-19 and that COVID-19 is real, then and that place is being crowded because every Nigerian wants to get his national identification number or national ID card so that it will be linked to his SIM, because no Nigerian wants to lose the opportunity of that, having that contact. These days, our phones become our offices. Our whole phones, they are more like part of every human being's life these days. So we tap the phone, we feel as if you are empty, as if you are even nowhere. So I think the government should be proactive. They should provide the necessary facilities needed for protection of the staffs themselves, and also the social distancing procedure should also be strictly adhered during the process of this national identification or national ID card registration and what have you. I think it is very important. So at this juncture, I'm also calling on the government to be proactive, to do the needful so that to prevent the outskirts of this deadly virus. We're in the phase 2 already, and we're informed that the phase 2 is more deadlier than the phase 1, and we pray not to get to phase 3.
Okay. I introduced a telephone interview with an analyst, Dr. Abdul Jalal Tambaba, and I think the soundbite is now ready. Let's listen to him before we continue the interview. Exercise. I mean, one of the objectives of this particular exercise is to have the security issues or insecurity issues under control. In some cases, you find that our security operatives can easily identify or track in case of phone snatching or somebody stealing the phone. Before you know it, they are able to track it wherever he is, and you'll be able to trace him. But in the case of kidnappers, they will kidnap a victim now, a person now, use his phone to communicate even with the police or with the security operatives or with the family of the victim, and you hardly find these traps, not to even identify or locate where they are communicating with the family of the victim. Where do we get it? What do you think is the problem?
Well, the problem
in just few words.
Yes, I think the problem there is simple and straight. First, there is lack of cooperation from the security agencies themselves. Because if someone's phone will be stolen and within 48 hours it can be traced, then what happens to someone that has been kidnapped and then for days,
and that same line is being used to
communicate. The same line is being used to communicate, and you cannot trace where that line is and arrest those fine. I think there's lack of commitment among some of those, because you cannot just rule it all and say everybody. But there are those that are Judas even among the security agencies, and I think those Judas are the ones that are creating.
We hope they will address the issues.
I hope so.
Now, Doctor, before you go, in just a few words, we have been able within these few minutes to identify some major issues.
Yes.
Will you please like to advise the government on how to get all these things right?
Yes, I think my advice to government goes thus. First, the government should, like I said earlier, try to make sure that no Nigerian get more than 4 SIM card registered. That's number one. Number two, also as you register those SIM card, the security agencies should also be proactive in tracing and tracking where necessary the lines that are used to perpetrate mayhem. Just like you just mentioned now, where you can, a phone is missing within 48 hours, you get it, but someone is being kidnapped for 14 days and there's communication, continuous communication with the security agencies, and they will tell you they have not been able to trace the position of those guys. Those guys that are kidnapping or the bandit does not have trackers. They are just normal Nigerians that do not have that much security IQ to be able to build the security thinking of equipment for them to be traced or arrested. I think the government need to really do orientation and reorientation, training and retraining of our security agents, as well as providing the necessary technological gadget to be able to trace whatever needed to be traced.
Okay. Thank you very much for your contribution to the program, Newsday. For the past few minutes, we've been talking to Dr. Awwal, a security expert and public affairs commentator. We'll now take a very short break.
The demonstration, the federal government is a very good one. Why? Because it's only in Nigeria that you find that one person is having more than 10. I have seen someone that 50 different SIM cards, and when you ask him, he will tell you that they are all useful. And you find a lot of people carrying 3, 4, 5 handsets, and you begin to wonder what do they need all these handsets for. And some of those handsets carry 3 SIMs. In most cases, I'm sure you're aware of the handset that carry 3 SIMs. So when you have even 4 SIMs, so you can imagine a phone that carries 4 SIMs and you are carrying like 5 of these phones, it means you'll be having about 20 SIM cards. What do you need it for? That is a very big question, also a question for another day. But looking at the present situation, I think the registration of SIMs in collaboration with the NIN number is very, very important. It will assist in curbing, first, economically, it will assist in boomeranging the economy, and secondly, in terms of security, which is the most important one, it will also assist in reducing the security risk and implications of using the phones to perpetrate mayhem, terrorism, banditry, kidnappings, and what have you. It will reduce it to a minimal number. If you ask me of percentage, I could even tell you that it can reduce it from 100% to about 70%, which is a great number.
All right. Some security experts are of the view that criminals may tend to be using victims' phone numbers to commit crimes.
That's correct.
And as it is today, even the kidnappers, they use the phone numbers or the telephones of their victims to call their contact outside the bushes. Now, how do you see to this?
Well,
like they don't use their own personal lines.
You're very correct.
Outside.
You're very correct. I would also want to use this medium to call the attention of government to the notes, to the fact that not only that they use people's phones